Darius Kendricks moved through the aisles of the Kroger off Franklin Road in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, like a ghost haunting familiar ground. He had survived 3 tours overseas as a Marine sniper, where every shadow could hide death, every whisper could be a warning. But here, in the fluorescent, lit sanctuary of everyday America, he sought only almond milk and eggs. His earbuds blocked out the world noise, cancelling shields against the hum of shopping carts and distant chatter. Nothing played through them, just silence, a rare commodity after the chaos of Afghanistan. His back ached from the VA hospital mattress he'd collapsed on the night before, his body still adjusting to the weight of home after less than a week stateside. He turned down aisle 6, scrolling through a short list on his phone when the shadows shifted. Not the kind from Helmand Province, where they slithered like insurgents in the night, but human ones, 6 officers closing in from both ends. No warning, no preamble, hands where I can see 'em. One barked, gun drawn, voice slicing through the air like a suppressed round. Darius looked up, half confused, half in disbelief. The training kicked in instinctively. Don't make a sudden move. He placed his phone slowly on the shelf, raised both hands. Sir, I think you have the wrong, turn around now. The command was sharp, unyielding. He complied, feeling the cold bite of cuffs snapping around his wrists in under 10 seconds. Too tight, digging into skin still raw from sniper ops. Customers froze in place. A woman clutched her purse like a lifeline. A teenage girl by the freezer held her phone aloft, recording the scene. Whispers rippled through the air. What did he do? The answer came from a rookie cop, breathless and flushed. Matches the description. Robbery in Smyrna last night. It didn't compute. I live here, Darius said, facing the metal shelves stocked with cereals and snacks. I've been back from Afghanistan 5 days. Check my wallet. My military ID's inside. No one checked. An officer patted his pockets, found the ID, glanced at it dismissively, and tossed it into a plastic bag. The march outside stretched eternally, past staring faces, some confused, some skeptical, a few angry but silent. They pushed his head down into the cruiser, and in the side mirror, Darius caught his reflection, jaw clenched, fatigue evaporated, replaced by a burning humiliation. The drive to the station was silent, save for the hum of the engine. The officer beside him glanced at his name tag. Kendricks, huh? No more words followed. At the precinct, the routine stripped him bare. Fingerprints, search, photographs. His phone lay abandoned in the cart back at the store. His wallet vanished into evidence. His arms, stiff from holding positions in sniper nests for hours, now bloomed red around the wrists. Can I call someone? He asked a sergeant behind a glass window. You'll get one call once we confirm everything. She replied, eyes fixed on her screen. They led him to a small cell, cinder blocks, no bench, no clock, just a sour stench clinging to the air. For the first time in years, Darius felt utterly out of control. He sat on the floor, leaned back, closed his eyes. Memories flooded in Helmand's buzzing nights, where drones and hornets blurred. Children on rooftops, potential signals. 60-hour waits in sweat. Soaked nests for that one shot to save a convoy. There was honor there, a mission. Here, nothing but isolation, branded as trouble. He didn't sleep, mind racing to his mother, Miss Florence. She didn't know he was home yet. He'd planned a surprise. Always stand tall, baby, she'd say. The truth walks, lies run. He'd stood tall, and yet here he was. By the time light pierced the bars, bruises darkened his wrists to purple. His knees popped as he stood, neck stiff from the concrete chill. A different officer slid a paper plate through. Dry eggs, stomped toast, no utensils, water. No words exchanged. Darius leaned against the wall, eyed the food, took one bite. His stomach rebelled. Time blurred without windows or clocks, only slamming doors and distant coughs marking existence. Eventually, they called him out. The officer who'd ignored his ID waited, voice flat. "Let's go, Kendricks." Still cuffed, he followed to an interview room. 2 chairs, bolted table, blinking camera. An older detective entered, salt and pepper stubble, ex-beat cop vibe. He sat, flipped a folder, eyed Darius long. "You a Marine?" "I am, still active, just finished my 3rd tour." The man nodded. "Where?" "Helmand, Camp Dwyer before that, Sangin, Kajaki." "That's real." He slid a grainy photo, a suspect in hoodie and jeans, mid-stride outside a liquor store. "That's supposed to be me?" Darius asked. "Honestly, I don't think so, but the officer who cuffed you said close enough to hold." "I told them who I was, showed ID." "Yeah, that's in the report." Silence. "I've put in a recommendation to release you. Few more hours out by afternoon." Darius stared. "That's it." The detective shifted uncomfortably. "Wrong place, wrong time. I read your file. You saved lives, got medals, letter from a commandant. I'm sorry." "Sorry doesn't pull those phones down yesterday." "You're right." They returned him to the cell. He stood this time, refusing to sit, to give in. A young officer passed, slowed, recognized him, kept walking. Hours later, a sergeant with a clipboard. "You're being released. No charges, clean file." "Why was I even booked?" "Just detainment. Get your property at the front." She handed a bag, wallet, belt receipt, watch, phone slip, still at the store. Someone going to apologize. No answer. He walked out in a ripped T-shirt, sore hands, air too sharp, too bright. Outside, a young man waited, early 20s, holding Darius's phone. "You dropped this. Saw the video online. Figured you'd need it." Darius took it. "Thanks." "Name?" "Reggie." A nervous fidget. "You film it?" "No, but saw the girl's post. Said you were military. My uncle served." A nod. This one meant something. Each step burned, ground unsteady. By the time Darius reached his apartment, the video had exploded 50,000 views. Filmed by teenager Tasha Mendelson, grabbing frozen pizza when cops rushed in. Something felt off. She recorded, posted to TikTok. This man arrested at Kroger for matching description after showing military ID. "What are we doing?" Comments surged. He was calm. "They didn't check ID." "That's a Marine, WTF. Fix this." Outrage mixed with recognition. Too many similar stories, but this one hit different. A tired man carrying unseen weight. Staff Sergeant Elijah Brookstone at camp. Pendleton scrolled lunch, froze. "That's Staff Sergeant Kendricks. Saved us in Helm and took a bullet, finished the op." He posted details of Darius's service, tagged Marines, vets, journalists. Disgraceful. It spread, reaching Colonel Dana Probst at Quantico. She knew Darius, advanced marksmanship under her, forwarded to General Raymond Stokes, Eastern Command head. Stokes remembered him from Ramadi, approved his Silver Star amid recognition disparities for black servicemen. "Watched the video thrice," told assistant. "Get the judge's name where he's held. Cancel everything." Darius, unaware, sat on his bathtub edge, staring at bruises like permanent rings. Pressed, winced. Phone buzzed. Messages, links, voicemail from Florence. "Boy, what happened? Seen your face on TikTok. Call me or I'll fly out, embarrass everybody." He almost laughed, sat silent, pressed play. Surreal. His calm voice masking fury. Comments: "My brother served with him. Fix it." Things moved fast, far. Fog clung to Rutherford County Courthouse parking lot, heavy air. Darius stepped from county van in khaki slacks, navy shirt, slip-ons. Clothes from veteran outreach. You're not alone, we're watching. Courtroom not packed. Retirees with pads, college students, plain. Clothes, military staring down talkers, woman typing on phone, press. Escorted, unshackled but chained inside, Darius sat by public defender Dana Russo. Handled dumb arrests, but yours, thin, blurry photo, officer reassigned, won't let it ride, appreciate it. Florence entered, straight, backed, furious in gray coat, Sunday hat, eyes locked, short nod. You all right, baby? Throat tightened, he looked away. Judge Leo Callan entered, 63, white-haired, sharp. State versus Darius Kendricks, detained without warrant on inaccurate description. Yes, sir. ID matched military status. Yes, sir. Russo stood. Motion to dismiss. No charges, just mess. Murmurs. About to gavel when door opened. General Raymond Stokes entered in full dress, 4 stars, ribbons, room silenced. Permission to address, Your Honor. Callan blinked. You may. Stokes to Darius, Staff Sergeant Kendricks, followed your record since 2013. Marksman, leader, survivalist, highest standard. Florence, quiet hum. To judge, not procedural error. A failure to respect those risking lives. Distinguish suspicion from service. Embarrasses this court, my command. Stunned silence. Stokes to Darius, on behalf of every officer, I apologize. You didn't deserve this. Name cleared at every level. Shoulders loosened. Door opened again. Young woman with braids, press badge, camera. Man with boom mic. Judge sighed. Who let media? Cleared. Veterans' rights segment. Camera rolled. Stokes unflinching. 38 years served. Seen men like Kendricks drag others through bullets. Signed death notices. Stood at funerals. Haven't spoken out enough when they're treated disposable. If this happens to him, any of us, uniform doesn't protect on American soil. Frozen room. Darius's jaw tensed. Validation. Stokes to judge. Request formal review. Military filing complaint. Paperwork en route. Gavel tapped. Name cleared. Defended from highest. Hearing concluded. On behalf of court, I apologize. Stillness, then whispers. Florence held coat tighter. Darius stood, turned to her. Military guys nodded as he passed. Outside, reporters. Mr. Kendricks, what this means for veterans. Not now. Florence beside him on steps. You okay? No, but I'm here. Down street, black SUV. Stokes out, hatless. Mind if I walk? A shrug. They walked Maple Street. Handled with restraint I couldn't muster. Didn't feel like choice. Still mattered. People saw, heard. Darius stopped. Haven't said anything yet. You plan to? Might. 3 days blurred, but Darius ignored interviews, messages. Then email from Marcus Shin, Hillsborough High Counselor. J-Rock Group saw video. Question service. 1. Why wear uniform if treated like suspect? Speak. 20 minutes of truth. Read thrice. Showed up in uniform. Creases sharp. Boots gleaming. Florence. Sure. No. Feels right. Auditorium. Plastic chairs. Dusty curtains. Flags. Kids scattered. Arms crossed. Scrolling. Mike. Not convincing anything. Not defending country or explaining weeks. Tell what seen, learned. Mountains. Sandstorms. Medivac friend. Muzzle flashes. Laughter against madness. Pivoted. Murfreesboro. Fast. Service irrelevant. Watchers silent. Cuffs not worst. Silence was. Still believed in standing. Hand up, boy in rock jacket. What stopped snapping? Thought about it. But wearing your name too, every young brother seen, sister ignored, vet invisible. Girl, still serve. Yes, differently. Not quiet about wrong, not swallow insults. Speak up. Silence, real applause. Students shook hands, hugged, note. Thanks for saying what Dad never could. Shin, room different, just honest. Story landed national. Quiet PBS clip of Stokes, Darius silent. Then Hillsborough talk viral. Shared, debated. Murfreesboro PD statement. Regret, review, no ill intent. No one bought. Officers identified. Brent Tully, under 2 years, prior complaints. Paid leave. Darius silent. Others spoke. Elijah column in task and purpose. Viral. City council session. Activists vigil. Candles, soldier photos. Reggie interviewed. Voice cracked. Least I could do. Looked like uncle. Tasha on panel. 2 million views. Digital witnessing. Darius grounded. Visited Florence. Fixed tile. Church walks. Stairs. Photos. Pie with Semper Fi. Didn't let praise stick. Didn't do heroic. To Florence folding laundry. Stood still in storm. Harder than most know. Letters came. Veterans. Kids. Parents. Sorrigan woman. Father arrested 1986. Arkansas boy. Join Marines if people like you serve. Read all. Kitchen table envelopes. Coffee stains. Recorded video. Didn't ask this. Hope don't waste. Slow down judgment. Uniform means something. Look at person next makes scene. 3 million views 48 hours. Stuck with rot kids question. Mrs. Webb Juvenile Center. Visit. Yes, no camera. Wednesday. Jeans, boots, hoodie. Webb, not all bad. Never seen. Understood. Off-white room, slumped teens. Not tell live life. Not father, pastor. Done things not understand. No written off. Seen as threat. Arrest story. Didn't run. Yell. Cuffs. Shot at 3 countries. Lost/saved friends. Suspect home. Arms. Folded kid. Forgive. No. Carry like warning lead. Smirks. Done something can't explain. Not evil, not taught. Didn't care. Nods. Guilt eat. Regret trap worse walls. Accountability. Freedom starts. What do different if someone watching? Brother, niece unmet yet. Listening. Web stunned. Boy post. Park. Sneakers big. Really shot somebody. Yes. Save family. Had to. A nod. Wanna better. Don't know start. Folded paper. Recruiters list. Not sign. Just options. Took without word. Web shook loose. They moving. I showed. Cameras stopped. Press moved. Didn't bother not for headlines. Weeks later. Park bench Stonebridge Park. Watch traffic. Joggers. Kids. Normal rare. Hoodie. Bowl cap. Florence's sandwich. Man. Boy with commo backpack. Kid stopped. Guy on phone video. Yeah. Teacher showed. Real calm. Liked. Appreciate. Father's look. Thanks. Respect. Shame. Honest. They left. Darius notebook from tour wrote. Not what happens. What do after. Visited community center. Volunteered drills. Discipline. Awareness. Breathe pressure. Small start. 2 boys, 4 dozen. Room filled. Whispers turned reverence. Uncomfortable but didn't run. Meant for others. Benchmark. Reminder calm, not passive. Restraint strength. Home. Florence fridge photo. Stokes beside Darius. Quiet badge. Dinner clear. Yourself again. No. Better. Darius Kendricks stood on the sidewalk outside his apartment. The Tennessee sun cutting sharp angles across the pavement. The air still carried the sting of freedom regained, but it wasn't clean, not yet. 3 days had passed since the courtroom, since General Raymond Stokes had walked in and turned a routine hearing into a reckoning. Darius hadn't spoken publicly, hadn't answered the buzzing phone or the flood of notifications piling up like sand in a storm. Instagram tags, email pings, 3 voicemails from an NBC producer with a voice too eager for sincerity. He let them sit unanswered, his eyes fixed instead on the bruises circling his wrists, still dark, still tender. They weren't just marks, they were reminders of how fast the world could turn on you. He walked slowly toward the corner store, not the Kroger, not yet, but a small market where the clerk knew his face. Not his story. The bell above the door jingled as he stepped inside, grabbing a bottle of water and a protein bar. The clerk, an older man with a graying beard, gave him a nod, no questions, no stares. It was a small mercy, but Darius took it. Back outside, he leaned against a brick wall, cracked open the water, and let the world move around him. Cars rolled by, a dog barked somewhere down the street, and a kid on a bike wove through the parking lot, oblivious to the weight Darius carried. His phone buzzed again. He ignored it, but the vibration pulled his thoughts back to the video. Tasha Mendelson's clip, now past 2 million views, had become a living thing, spreading across platforms, stitching itself into the fabric of conversations he hadn't started. He hadn't watched it again since that first time, sitting on his bathtub edge, but he could still hear his own voice, calm, masking the fury that had burned beneath his skin. The comments haunted him. He didn't even flinch. "That's a Marine. Fix this." They weren't just words, they were expectations, demands for him to be something more than a man who'd been wronged. Back in his apartment, he sat at the kitchen table, the same one where he'd read the email from Marcus Shin, the Hillsborough High Counselor. That line, 20 minutes of truth, had pulled him into the auditorium, into facing those J-Rot kids with their crossed arms and skeptical eyes. He'd told them about Helmand, about the laughter that kept you sane, about the silence in the grocery store that cut deeper than cuffs. Their questions lingered, especially the boy in the green rock jacket. What stopped you from snapping? Darius hadn't lied. He'd thought about it, about letting the anger spill over, but he'd carried more than his own name that day. He carried theirs. The email from Shin wasn't the only one. His inbox was a flood of requests now. Interviews, panels, even a podcast called Veterans Unfiltered, promising no spin, just real talk. He deleted most without reading, but one message caught his eye, not for its urgency but its simplicity. It was from a woman named Carla Webb, a counselor at the Rutherford County Juvenile Center. Subject: a chance to listen. The message was short. "Mr. Kendricks, we've got kids here who saw your story. They don't trust easy, but they're asking questions. Would you come talk to them? No cameras, no agenda, just you. They need someone who gets it." He read it twice, then set the phone down. The idea of standing in front of kids, troubled ones, not the J-Rock hopefuls, felt heavier than the high school talk. These weren't students dreaming of service. They were teens the system had already chewed up, spit out, labeled. He knew that feeling, not from a rap sheet, but from that moment in aisle 6, when eyes saw a threat before a person. He typed a reply, "I'll come. No cameras. Wednesday work." Her response came in minutes. "Wednesday's perfect. Thank you." The days leading up to the visit were quiet but restless. Darius kept to his routine, morning runs to shake off the stiffness in his back, visits to his mother's house to fix the little things she'd never ask for: cracked kitchen tile, a loose cabinet handle. Florence didn't bring up the video or the courtroom, but her silence was loud, her eyes searching his face for cracks he wouldn't show. "You eating enough?" she'd ask, sliding a plate of cornbread across the table. He'd nod, take a bite, let the warmth ground him. But at night, alone, the memories crept back. The cuffs, the cell, the courtroom, and Stokes. 4 stars, voice like steel, saying what no one else had dared. Wednesday morning broke with a gray sky, the kind that threatened rain but held back. Darius pulled on jeans, boots, a charcoal hoodie. No uniform this time. The juvenile center was a low, squat building on the edge of Murfreesboro, its beige exterior blending into the overcast day. Carla Webb met him at the security desk. Clipboard tucked under her arm, keycard dangling from her neck. She was in her 40s, with a no-nonsense braid and eyes that missed nothing. "They're not all bad kids," she said as they walked down a fluorescent, lit hall. "Most just never had anyone who really saw them." Darius nodded. "I get that." The room was off-white, paint chipped at the corners, a line of plastic chairs holding a dozen teens. Some slumped, others stared with defiance, arms crossed tight. One kid, laces loose on oversized sneakers, sized Darius up like he was waiting for a sermon. No mic, no podium, just Darius standing in the center. "I'm not here to tell you how to live," he started, voice steady but low. "I'm not your father, not your pastor. I've done things you won't understand, and I know what it's like to be written off. To have people see a threat before they see you." He told them about the grocery store, no run, no yell, just cuffs. About 3 tours, bullets, lost friends, saved ones, about coming home and still being a suspect. The kid with the loose laces spoke up, voice low but firm. "So what? You just forgive it." "No," Darius said plainly, "but I don't drag it like a chain. I carry it like a warning." A few smirks, a raised brow. He stepped closer. "You ever do something you can't explain? Not because you're evil, but because you didn't know better, or no one taught you, or you didn't care that day." Nods, reluctant but real. "Guilt can eat you. Regret traps you worse than these walls." Accountability, that's where freedom starts. He paused, let it sink. What would you do different if someone was watching? Not a judge, not a camera, but your little brother, your niece. Someone you haven't met yet who might walk your path. No one answered, but they listened. Webb's eyes widened. She wasn't used to silence here. After the sneaker kid approached, laces dragging. "You really shot somebody?" "Yes, to save a family, had to." He nodded, almost to himself. "Wanna be better?" "Don't know where to start." Darius handed him a folded paper, recruiters who wouldn't condescend, not saying sign up, just options. The boy took it, wordless. Webb, packing up, said, "You shook something loose." They were moving. I showed up. Back home, the letters started arriving. Not emails, real letters, handwritten, inked with care, from veterans who'd felt invisible, kids who saw themselves in him, a woman in Oregon whose father was arrested in '86 for looking wrong. A boy in Arkansas, "If people like you serve." Maybe I should. Darius read each one at his kitchen table, envelopes piling up, coffee stains spreading. They weren't just words, they were anchors, pulling him towards something bigger than himself. The video's reach grew 3 million views now, shared by strangers, debated in comments. He's calm. Scarier than yelling. God help us if we need men like this and treat them like trash. The Murfreesboro PD statement, regret, review, no ill intent, landed like a wet rag. No one bought it. Officer Brent Tully, the rookie who'd shouted, was on paid leave, his file public, prior complaints, one buried. The city council called a session. Activists held vigil outside the precinct. Candles, soldier photos, no signs. A quiet demand. Reggie, the clerk who'd returned Darius's phone, got a podcast spot. Voice cracking. He looked like my uncle. Least I could do. Tasha Mendelson, the teen filmmaker, joined a Zoom panel on digital witnessing, her video a case study in truth captured raw. Darius stayed grounded. He walked Florence to church, fixed her porch step, ignored stares in town. Some reverent now, not suspicious. A woman left a pipe on his doorstep, Semper Fi. He didn't eat it but kept the note. One evening, Florence caught him staring at the fridge photo, Stokes beside him in court. "You feel like yourself again?" "No." "Better." She nodded, didn't push, but the letters kept coming, and with them a pull to do more. Not for cameras, not for headlines, but for the kids like the one in sneakers, the boy in the rock jacket, the girl who asked if he'd serve again. He started visiting the old community center, where he'd run youth drills pre-deployment. The director, a wiry man named Paul, said they needed mentors. Someone kids would hear. You sure? Paul asked when Darius offered to volunteer. Got hours to spare. Might as well. He started small, 2 boys, then 4, then a dozen. No war stories, just lessons. Discipline, reading a room, breathing through pressure. The room filled week by week. Whispers in town shifted, not scandal, reverence. It made him uneasy, but he didn't run. It meant something for others to see him. Not threat, not mistake, but benchmark. One night, he pulled out the notebook he'd carried since his second tour, its edges frayed. Flipped to a page, wrote, "It's not what happens, it's what you do after." The words felt like a contract, not with the world but with himself. Next morning, another email landed, this one from a local veterans group. "We're starting a program for returning service members. Need someone to lead workshop. Real talk, no fluff. You in?" He didn't reply right away, but the idea stuck. Workshops meant structure, purpose, a way to pass on what he'd learned without cameras or fanfare. He thought of the juvenile center, the silence in that room, the boy with the loose laces clutching that paper. He drove to Stonebridge Park, sat on the same bench where the kid with the commo backpack had recognized him, watched traffic, joggers, kids on bikes, normal but not empty. A man approached, graying hair, towing a girl with pigtails. She pointed at Darius, whispered to her dad. The man gave a nod. "Same as the commo kid's father? Thanks." "Respect, maybe shame. Heard you spoke at the high school." The man said, "My niece was there. Changed how she sees things." Darius tilted his head. "She's a good kid. Real good." Just needed someone to say it out loud. They left and Darius stayed, notebook in hand. He didn't write this time, just sat, letting the world move. The pull was stronger now, not to speak for himself, but for those who'd been unseen. The letters, the kids, the vigil candles, they weren't just gestures, they were a call. He thought of Stokes standing in court, voice cutting through years of silence, of Florence, her nod saying more than words, of the boy in sneakers, asking how to start. Darius stood, tucked the notebook away, and walked back to his car. The day wasn't over, and neither was he. Darius Kendricks sat at his kitchen table, the faint hum of Murfreesboro's evening traffic seeping through the cracked window. The table was cluttered with envelopes, handwritten letters from strangers, veterans, kids, each one a weight he hadn't asked for but couldn't ignore. The coffee stains on the wood had spread, marking the hours he'd spent reading, rereading, feeling the words settle into him like stones in a riverbed. Outside, the sky bruised purple, the kind of dusk that made the world feel both vast and close. His phone lay silent for once, notifications muted, but the echoes of the past week, courtroom, high school, juvenile center, still thrummed in his mind. He hadn't planned to become a symbol. 3 tours as a Marine sniper had taught him to stay low, to blend into the terrain, to act only when the shot was clear. But here, in the quiet of his apartment, he couldn't hide from the eyes that had found him. The video Tasha Mendelson posted was at 5 million views now, a number that felt unreal, like a score from a game he wasn't playing. Comments piled up. "He's what service means. This is why we fail our vets. He didn't break. Why should we?" Each one was a thread, pulling him towards something he couldn't yet name. The letter from the veterans group lay open beside his coffee mug. They wanted him to lead workshops for returning service members, real talk, no fluff, just tools to navigate the invisible battles of coming home. He stared at the words for days, fingers hovering over the keyboard, no reply sent. It wasn't fear holding him back, it was the weight of expectation. He'd spoken to the J-Rock kids, to the teens in juvie, and each time he'd felt the room shift. Not because he was special, but because he was honest. Could he do that again, week after week, without losing himself? He stood, stretched his aching back, and walked to the fridge. Florence's photo of him and General Stokes in the courtroom was still there, pinned under a magnet shaped like a Tennessee star. He hadn't looked at it closely before, but now he did. Stokes's face was all resolve, 4 stars gleaming under the courtroom lights. Darius's own expression was unreadable. Calm, yes, but something else too. Not anger, not defeat, but a kind of waiting, like he'd been holding his breath for years and was only now starting to exhale. He thought of the boy in the juvenile center, laces dragging, asking how to be better. The girl at Hillsborough High, hair tied back, questioning if service was worth it. The kid with the Como backpack at Stonebridge Park, eyes wide like he'd seen a hero. They weren't just moments, they were mirrors, reflecting back the man he was becoming, not the one he'd been. He picked up his notebook, the one from his second tour, its pages warped from desert heat and time. He flipped to the last entry. It's not what happens, it's what you do after. Below it, he added, and who you do it for. The community center was his next step, not because it was grand, but because it was real. He'd started volunteering there days ago, running drills for kids who reminded him of himself at 15. Restless, sharp-eyed, testing the world's edges. The director, Paul, had been skeptical at first, eyebrows raised when Darius offered his time for free. You don't need to prove anything, Paul had said, leaning against the center's chipped front desk. Not proving, Darius replied, just doing. The sessions were small but growing. 2 boys at first, lanky and quiet, then 4, then a dozen. They didn't care about his medals or the viral video. They cared about the way he listened when they talked about fights at school, about parents who didn't show up, about dreams they didn't dare say aloud. He taught them what he knew, how to read a room like a battlefield, how to breathe through anger, how to stand tall without saying a word. Discipline isn't rules. He told them one afternoon, sweat beading on his forehead as they ran laps around the center's cracked basketball court. It's choosing who you want to be when no one's watching. One kid, Jamal, 13, with a chipped front tooth, lingered after a session. You really got arrested for nothing? He asked, bouncing a basketball too hard against the pavement. Yeah, Darius said, catching the ball mid-bounce, and I'm still here. Jamal nodded, like he was piecing together a puzzle. My brother got picked up once. Cops said he looked like someone. He don't talk about it. Darius handed the ball back. He don't have to. You just keep showing up for him. The kid smirked, spun the ball on his finger and jogged off. Darius watched him go, feeling the same stir he'd felt in the juvenile center, a sense that something was moving, not just in the kids but in him. The letters kept coming. A veteran from Texas wrote about coming home to whispers and side-eyes, thanked Darius for standing calm when he couldn't. A teacher in Ohio sent a note from her class, 20 signatures scrawled under a message. We saw you on TV. You made us think. A mother in Georgia wrote about her son, a Marine who didn't make it back from Iraq, how Darius's story gave her a piece of him back. Each one carved a space in him, not pride but purpose. He visited Florence that weekend, same as always. She was in the kitchen, stirring collards, the air thick with the smell of smoked turkey. She didn't look up when he walked in, just pointed to a plate of cornbread. Eat, she said. He did, and for a while they sat in the kind of silence that didn't need filling. But as he cleared the table, she fixed him with a look. "You're carrying a lot now, baby. You sure you can hold it?" He thought about it, really thought. "I'm not carrying it alone." She nodded, lips tight, but her eyes softened. "Good. Don't you dare try." The veterans group email was still unanswered, but the pull was stronger now. He drove to the community center that evening, the sky clear, stars pricking through the dark. Paul was there, locking up, his keys jangling. "Got a minute?" Darius asked. "Always," Paul said, leaning against the doorframe. "I'm thinking about that workshop thing, for vets. What's it take to start?" Paul's eyebrows shot up. "You serious? It's just time and guts." "We got a room, some chairs. You bring the rest." Darius nodded, slow. "I'll do it. Small though, no cameras." "No cameras." Paul agreed, a grin breaking through. "You're gonna shake this place up, Kendricks." "Not shaking. Just showing up." The first workshop was set for the following week, a trial run. Darius didn't plan a speech, didn't prepare slides. He'd talk about what he knew, the weight of coming home, the way silence could cut deeper than shrapnel, the need to find ground when the world felt unsteady. He'd tell them about the grocery store, not to dwell but to show what it taught him, that you could stand tall and still be unseen, that you could serve and still be suspected, but that you could choose what came next. The news cycle had moved on, chasing louder stories, but the ripples of Darius's moment didn't stop. The Murfreesboro PD internal review dragged on, Officer Tully still on leave, his name a quiet scandal in local papers. Activists kept their vigil outside the precinct, candles burning each night, photos of soldiers propped against the curb. Reggie, the clerk who'd returned Darius's phone, had become a local hero of sorts, his podcast interviews shared across veteran forums. Tasha Mendelson's video was studied in college classes now, a case study in how one moment could spark a reckoning. Darius didn't watch the coverage, didn't read the blogs. He went back to Stone Bridge Park instead, same bench, same faded cap. The normalcy wasn't rare anymore, it was his. A jogger passed, gave a nod. A kid on a bike waved, not knowing who he was. Then a woman approached, maybe 50, carrying a grocery bag. She stopped, hesitant, then spoke. "You're him, aren't you? The Marine?" He tilted his head. "Just Darius." She smiled, small but real. "My husband was Navy. He saw your video, said it made him feel seen for the first time since '95. Just wanted to say thank you." He nodded, throat tight. "Tell him I appreciate it." She walked off and he stayed, notebook in hand. He didn't write this time, just held it, feeling its weight. The letters, the kids, the workshops. They weren't just threads anymore, they were a rope pulling him forward. That night he recorded another video, short, no script. He sat at his table, the letters stacked beside him, the fridge photo just visible in the frame. "People keep asking what I want," he said, voice steady. "I want us to see each other. Not as threats, not as stories, but as people. If you've been overlooked, I see you. If you've been written off, I see you. Start there. That's enough." He posted it, no hashtags, no fanfare. By morning, it was at 4 million views, shared by people he'd never meet, people who saw themselves in his words. The veterans group called, confirming the workshop date. Paul texted, "Rooms ready." "You are too." Darius walked to the community center the next day, boots heavy on the pavement. The kids were there, shooting hoops, laughing louder than before. Jamal spotted him, tossed the ball his way. "You back, coach?" "Always," Darius said, catching it. Inside, he met with Paul, mapped out the workshop. 10 vets to start, no ranks, just names. They'd talk about re-entry, about finding purpose when the mission was over, about carrying the weight without breaking. He thought of Stokes, of Florence, of the boy with the loose laces. He thought of the grocery store, the cuffs, the silence. and how he turned it into something else. As he left, a kid ran up, maybe 12, clutching a crumpled drawing. It was Darius in a hoodie, standing tall. "For you," the kid said, then bolted. Darius unfolded it, saw the words scrawled at the bottom, "Thanks for not giving up." He tucked it into his notebook, next to the entry about what comes after. The streetlights flickered on, and he walked home, not alone, not unseen, but exactly where he needed to be.
If you liked this story, please like, subscribe, and share it with others so they can learn something from it too.